user group meetup for July, in which I, Mike Lombardi, have decided to live script a solution with the heckling or input of the people in the room as well as people on the internet. So we have not yet picked an actual topic, but we will do that shortly. But before we do that, I'm going to do a little bit of work that's going to pull some stuff in for us. Specifically, I'm going to pull in a script from the repository we're going to publish to. So let me hop to that. I apologize in advance for the horror that you're about to see before I can hide it. All right, we're good. I'll hide that. All right, so I've set up in advance at my domain packages.barbariankb.com/feeds. So this is just a ProGet instance running in a container on AWS. Please don't break it, is all I can really ask right now, though I fully expect somebody here is going to try. I will probably take it down sometime soon, question mark, or at least rotate keys and stuff. So before we go over there, I'm going to go ahead and add it to my local PowerShell. It's just another repository, just like the public PowerShell repository is. So I'm just going to copy the snippet I published. That did not work at all. I'll right-click, drop it in. Sometimes Conemu is a little bit goofy. All right, so we found my script, get STL-psug agenda. So I will install the script. Is there a scope? There sure is. Thought there might be. Scope current user. Yes, update my path. So what this is doing here is I'm pulling a script from my own repository, and then I'm updating my personal path, my environment path, so that it'll point to that scripts folder right here. So see users, Michael, OneDrive, documents, Windows, OneDrive? Windows PowerShell scripts. That's probably weird. So that's added in my path variable. So now what I can do is I can go get STL, and it found it because I'm not on that path. So it found it, and it's like, hey, you can go ahead and run this. Before I do that, I'm going to clear. So get STL tab, get STL-psug agenda. Hey, look, shows our agenda. Isn't that neat? All right. And then, so we're already past the 1800 to 1830 where we mingled, and I think 2 people ate pizza. So thank you, Drew. I appreciate you eating the food. We paid for it, so somebody should eat it. So for about the next hour and a half, I'm going to make a fool of myself writing PowerShell. We'll do an after action some of that time, I'm sure. And then, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, absolutely. And then after that, we'll mingle, do some QA and workshopping, so I'll turn off the stream at that point. So the next thing to show is the section, and we just saw the overview, so I'll show you the presentation. So we're going to pick a script to write, set up some prereqs, write the script, maybe add some testing. This one really should be marked with an asterisk for optional because I'm bad at this still. And then we're going to publish it to my internal repository, and then we'll go over everything that we kind of did tonight and see if we can learn a couple lessons or point some stuff out, take some of that away.
I would say for testing, we should at least write a trivial test.
Right. We'll write at least one test for it. Absolutely. All right. So let's do clear. And now I'm going to make myself a, well, let's talk about what we want to solve first. Do we want to do the SSL discovery? Is there anybody on the YouTube that has any ideas or cares at all? If not, we'll do whatever this team wants to do here.
I think SSL will be a complex example. You'll have to pull an external library to test with it.
Nope. Nope.
Do they upgrade?
No, SSL's been confirmed.
No, you can migrate through the cert store.
The certificate.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I check against the actual web server, the web
Yeah.
basing.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can check it from the IIS side.
Systems. So
yeah.
I actually query 443.
Yeah.
And so to make it universal, I actually
okay.
run around some libraries.
That makes sense. So this is probably a lot less complex than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Search store.
yeah, we're just going to look at the cert store and then see if we can find any of the certs in it that are coming up on, or at least return the certs and when they expire, or how many days to expire. What do we have like a sort of spec that we care about? 30 days, anything that's going to expire in the next 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might even say 60.
60?
Number,
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll pick something, and I don't know that I have anything in my cert store.
Exactly.
But
30 days you got to put.
But here's what we'll go ahead and do. We'll make a directory, We'll call this SSL discovery. So I'll make that, cd into it, and then I write all my code in Visual Studio Code. I consider doing all this in ISE, but I don't like you guys that much. And I also don't remember any of the shortcuts or anything, so I'd look even dumber.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's super convenient. Say again? Yeah. It should auto load, I would think, or you should be able to do IPMO. So when you're in here, I will create. First things first, I will make a folder, source, and then I will, in that folder, make a get SSL. What do we want to call it? Get SSL or get certificate expiration? Sure. Get certificate expiration, we'll do that. PS1, and then we'll also add get certificate expiration tests PS1. What we actually probably should have done was new fixture, not in the integrated. You never do? Yeah. Well, here, I'll show you what new fixture does, since the question came up in the room. What does it do, and why might you use it? So path, right, path, and we'll do source and name, do something. So it'll create do something.ps1 and do something.tests.ps1. It assumes by default functions, if I remember correctly. Right? So yeah, function do something, and then system under test set up here. It took me forever to find out what soot mean. I had no idea for the longest time, and then I was reading, I think, one of Joel Bannett's blogs, and he mentioned the system under test, and I was like, oh, I bet that's what SUT is. So describe it, and then just write some tests. So we could do that, but we will just stick with get certificate expiration. Deleted the whole folder because I'm super clever. All right, let's try this again. I told you I'd make mistakes live. We'll do get certificate expiration PS1. PSP was a good system, but it's gone now. Then get. You know what? I'm not going to do that. We'll do it somewhere else. Let's do. We'll add get certificate expiration PS1. Okay. All right. So we've got both of those. The last thing that I'm going to scaffold out. You know what? I won't do that yet. We'll come back to it later. All right. So we've got these things. Before we go any further, and is this terminal readable? Is all this stuff pretty visible on the YouTubes, or should I zoom in? I realize now.
Probably zoom in a little bit.
All right. How's about this?
It's not bad.
All right, good, cool. So let's do get init, get add. So for those not familiar, we are doing a little bit of quick Git setup. We are on branch master, so I'm going to do commit here. We'll just do initial commit. Oh, forgot. My password is 12345 for those of you wondering. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to come up here and I'm actually going to put together a project for it. So let's do new project, and we'll call it get certificate expiration type, and retrieve the we'll make this public because why not? Bop, bop, bop. See up here, it's working. We're good. And then we're going to copy these 3 lines. I could write them all out by hand, but I'm lazy and it tells me exactly which ones to use. So I'll summon this back, paste into there. Origin all. Yes. Could not read from remote repository. Did I do it as SSH like an idiot? Sure did. I thought my default was HTTPS. It's one more time. That's what happens when you do things live, folks. Anybody have any questions so far while I'm screwing this up? Appreciate you. Make sure that it exists. Why? You know what? I have to remove origin first before I can re-add it. Pop, pop, pop. See, now that time it worked. And we'll push up all my non-existent tags as well. All right, so now if I do git status, say I'm on branch master, everything's up to date with branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean. Perfect. So what do we do now? What's the next step for those of you who are familiar with using Git? What do you do? Check out a new. Okay, all right. we're gonna switch over to a different branch and start working. We're not gonna work straight from master. So the idea here, it is do it live, and we are. So we're gonna check out another branch. In this case, we're gonna call this initial work. Right? Doesn't matter what we call it, to be honest. So we'll switch over to that branch and then clear. And you'll see down here, it does say I'm over on initial work now. And we'll come back and worry about tests later. But for right now, we're going to worry about our script. So let's scaffold out help, right? If we do this first, it might make everything else less difficult later. Actually, I'm a terrible liar. Awful liar. The worst of liars. I apologize to everybody in this room. Something that you need to do first if you're going to publish the script, unless you want to do a whole bunch of hassle later. There is a command called new script file info. Now this is going to add a bunch of metadata to the top, and don't do like I did and apply this to stuff that already exists. I don't know if I screwed it up or something. I did update script file info. It wiped the whole script, which was super great for me. I was very excited about that. So let's go ahead and we'll do it from here. So path, and we'll say source, and the name of it is going to be get, I'll eventually remember this, certificate expiration .ps1, and the version that we're going to have up is going to be 0.1.0. Author is STLPsug. Actually, we'll do, I'll take credit for my terrible work. And then description, retrieve certificates from the local store and how many days until they expire. And then the GUID, we're not going to specify company name. We will say is STLPsug, because why not? Copyright. There are no required modules or external module dependencies, no required scripts or external script dependencies. Tags, we'll add a couple of tags here. So the first one will be example, the second one will be web, SSL, automation. Any other tags we think might apply here? Insight, certificate. Anything else? All right. I know, but you know, it's fine. It's habit now. I've been bit by a couple of those things. Project URL. We'll go back. We have that actually. So project URL is this one. And then we don't have a license URL, but we'll update with one later after we add a license. Icon URL, we don't have one. We don't need any release notes. And so we'll just run this. We're good to go now. So we run that, pop, pop, pop. Hey, it creates that file for us. Isn't that neat? And we go look at this file. We'll see that it has some really weirdly formatted stuff that it throws at the top. Blank line, PS script info. Copyright's a question mark, which is good. So as near as I can tell, this is roughly equivalent to the metadata that you add for the modules, but only roughly. And the formatting is different. So these ones have it on the next line, those ones have it on the same line. I don't know why. It is what it is. All right, but then it gives us the description. So now we'll come in and we'll add the synopsis. Although it drives me nuts that it doesn't indent those. So retrieve certificates and expiration. That's a terrible synopsis, I think, but we'll leave it there. So then, question for everybody in the room, does commandlet binding work for scripts? Yes, good, okay. So this is participatory. It's not just me yapping, and I will repeat answers that people read. I do a great job of yapping. I am Italian, that happens. So, are there going to be any parameters that we need for right now, or do we just want to get stuff out of the search store to start with?
Start with the search store and add parameters as it makes sense.
Okay.
Right? And like you said, you don't need to do it all at once.
Right. So we've got the synopsis, the description. Right now, we don't have any inputs. We don't know what our outputs are going to be, but we know we're going to have them. So we'll come back to those. So now, for those of you who haven't played with this before, you actually have a cert store on your local box. So if I do ls cert, well, I'll be a good boy and get child item, path, cert, colon, backslash, right? This kind of looks correct for everybody. Hey, look, there are two different places that we might have certs. Do we care to search both stores or only the local machine? Probably, I would assume, right? If we're pretending that this is for work, right? You search on the local machine. So look at the local machine. So now what do we have? So we have a couple of different cert stores, which you all may recognize. My is the personal store.
Oh, okay. Like, where are the personal?
Yep, that's that one. Trusted people, flight route. Do we want to look at all of these or just one?
In most cases, it's just personal.
Correct. So we'll start there. I don't think this box is going to have anything for us, though, so we might have to install something. So let's see. Let's get child item my. Absolutely nothing. Let me. Let's. I will. Can I just steal? Actually, do I have the commands to generate a new self-signed cert? New self-signed certificate. Security descriptor. Yo. Hello. Oh. Here. How do we learn about stuff we don't know yet? New self-signed certificate online. All right, so if you call get help with the -online, it'll take you to the latest published documents for it. Microsoft has been pretty good about these. No thanks on the Edge thing. Yep. Yep.
I've always like updated them, like it says, when update, like yeah, it takes forever, but
Yep.
it's nice.
And you can error them.
All right, so here we go. So new self-signed certificate, we can give it a DNS name, cert store location. So we'd specify, in this case, my. It's example 1. You know what? I'm really, really lazy for this example. We're literally going to do this. Copy and paste from the internet. This is what you should absolutely do. Oh, no, access denied because I'm not admin. That does make sense. So let me open up an admin shell. Well, hey now. Come back here. I apologize. For those who were watching the YouTube, you didn't see anything, but the demo itself died on the projector. It's back now. All right, so now that I'm here, we try that again. So new self-sign certificate, the DNS name is fabricum.com and contoso.com, and we'll store it in my personal store. Yeah, it gives me a thumbprint. I'll leave you up in case you matter later. So let's try what we get when we do that. Get child item local machine my, right? So hey, look, there's that same information we just saw. That's cool. Does anybody know how you get the methods and properties of an object in the pipeline? Mike, what do you got? Get dash member. That is correct. So take a look here. There's a whole bunch of stuff here, including some script properties and some methods. So you can do a whole bunch of things to them, it looks like, but I think we're more interested in getting information. So let's see. Archived, not before, not after. This is the one we're looking for, right? This is the expiration date, essentially. So let's do select object. We'll do subject, and we want the not after date in this case, right? So cn fabricum.com, not after 7/20/2018, 7 o'clock, a little bit after. That's pretty cool. So it's good for a year by default. That's a neat thing to know. I wonder if we can set the expiration date on those self signs.
I was just thinking that exact question.
We will try that out soon, but for now, we'll work with just returning the data here, right? So let's come up to the top here. So we know what we want to do is get child item path cert local machine my. Then we're going to select object. You do if you want it on this line. You don't if you put it on this line. We can talk about my strange code formatting here in a second.
It's a religious war.
It is a religious war. So while I'm typing this part out, I can explain. I am a dirty heretic. I also cut all my braces. Come at me. Cuddled braces. So if cuddled braces. Yeah, absolutely. The one and only way to do that. Yeah, that's okay. They do it wrong.
I'm with you there, but you fell off the wagon with your.
Yep. So the reason that I do this is like if you have a lot of pipes, I hate having the backtick and there's an RFC open. There's an RFC open to make this not be a problem anymore, so you don't need the backtick.
Oh, God, that parsing is kind of small.
That's one thing. That's a lot of work on parsing. Which, granted, I don't care about the parsing time, right?
But the thing is, we already did it for if else, right? So like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that already has to be able to go across lines.
Right, but else is the only thing that can come after the if block.
Or if else.
Well, okay,
right. But here, the only thing you're doing is adding pipe. If the next thing isn't an if else or an else if or a pipe, right?
It's only proposed to start with a pipe, not like
correct. Not just like any random thing, right? So essentially, the pipe is already an ending character that says ignore the new line.
I see that going back. So I imagine
it's not going to ignore the new line. It's just that PowerShell knows it can't end in a pipe, so
right?
It knows to read more.
Right. Anyway, it's now, this is fine. This will make everybody happy. Are we happy here? Are we good? We're not. Now, what is your problem?
I don't know.
You don't. Well, I can imagine lots of problems for you.
The color scheme in the editor is really.
Does this bother you, Monakai? Well, that's not going away. I apologize, but I am
just trying to think of something else completely
hardcore here, and so I apologize for everybody on YouTube. We are bantering quite a bit. So let's go ahead. Before we go any further, let's just run this thing and see what happens. So source, and then get blah. We'll hit run. So it comes back with the CM and then not after. But you know what? I don't really like not after. I want an expiration date. So let's change that. I'm going to annoy everybody today. right, it's name first, not expression. We'll call this expiration date. And then expression equals after, right? I love you, VS Code, for fixing that for me. So now let's see what we get, and we can complain about that awful indenting later if that's something that the team wants to do. See what happens there. All right, all it does is change that name. Does anybody know an easier or faster way to do that? I don't, I'm fishing.
No.
Okay, good.
That is the way to do that.
All right, good. So are we okay with this formatting? This is a team project, so if we hate my formatting, I can fix things. All right, we're good. I will do one thing that I should have done here, which is add a space on either side. Okay, so we've got the information that we wanted, but we did want to add, do we only want to return stuff that's coming up as due, or do we want to return all of them and include their expiration date? Which one are we trying to solve for?
That's a good question.
Yep.
And I can see using it both ways,
Sure.
right?
So maybe do we want to add a flag?
I would think having a flag, or even just having a parameter, if it's present, then you do something.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So let's do, what do we want to call this?
I can call it cutoff
Okay.
date. But
Yep. So let's do,
I want to know if it's or maybe just how many days.
there's days.
Days is
Days is good. And we'll do that as an integer. Okay. So how do we want, okay, so now we're going to say, we'll do maybe a filter. Filter on it, because I don't think we're going to be able to do the get child item until after we have the, we're not going to be able to filter here. If there's anything for filtering left on that, right? On properties.
no, there isn't a filter.
Right, you can only, I can filter on the path itself,
Right.
which is just the, I think the thumbprint. So it's actually, oh, that's not going to work, never mind. All right, so let's add a conditional filter after this. Okay, this is why I hate not having the pipe at the beginning. So now for me, it's unclear. So do I indent again? Where does this go? Where does it sit? What is this supposed to be? This is one thing that I really hope they get fixed eventually in VS Code, is that where object doesn't code right, because where itself is a keyword that freaks out. Where object filter script. So we can just do a full script block here. So here we'll say if days
That's just what the first block parameter is called, that no one ever uses.
I've never seen it. I just use the basic where object.
Where object.
But then you can only do properties.
Or you do like.
Just the basic comparison. Are you saying that that's the actual name of the position variable?
Yeah, filter script is the name of the parameter for where object that accepts the script block.
Oh, I didn't know there was a full script block. I thought it was only the basic.
I didn't know you could do the other way until like 3 months ago. So like I was always doing like filter script, something dot property equals whatever. And then I was like, somebody else was like, why are you doing that? And I was like, well, because you have to, because it's a filter script. And they're like, nope, you could just do it on property. It's like,
I didn't know it was a full script block. I thought it was.
So we could do.
In fact, it was just the script block until PowerShell Repo.
Name like star star.
I've had so many nested where objects. Oh, that makes it sick.
Anyway, point is, come back up here. So if it's null, it should just pass it through. Otherwise, it won't do anything. So let's try it again. having fixed our thingamajingler. So days.
But then just the other one.
Oh, yeah, no, that's quite down. It's it's stage filtering, so you knock out all the most first and you get more granular.
So that's interesting. So let's see what happens if we do this way. Now it should output either way. If I take this one out, this is me testing because I don't know how to do it right. Okay, so days is coming out as non-null, so let's output days. I have an idea. String. Okay. Why? I'll do what I want. Well, I'm concerned that it's not coming back with true or false now. Nope. All right. We'll do it the other way. Well, we're not going to worry about pipeline for now. So now we'll do. That's also one way to do it, I guess. If days is greater than 0.
Yeah.
But we'll do this first so you guys can see this. If contains key.
If they passed it. Yeah. Oh, come on. Oh, I like that.
We want to.
It's literally flipping your if statement backwards or checking your count for it.
See, that works. Right, and now we can add the logic here. So then we'll say.
But you actually just put an and in the part.
Where did I put an and?
If it contains things and the not after.
Oh.
Well, you know that because you don't want to return the certificate if you both specify days and it's still valid.
I guess that'd be or.
We haven't. This is for even doing the processing because we still have to. We still haven't checked to see. We have to do that up here. So we're actually doing this wrong because what we have days, right? We need to see the actual expiration date and generate it once.
Yeah.
Expiration. That word looks so wrong. So that's a good point.
I wouldn't care about it because I'm asking 30 or 60 days out. I'm not scheduling lunch. You know what I mean?
So we'll do get date.
I don't have the tolerance.
Dot.
Okay.
Add days.
I was wanting to get lazy.
Days.
That's gonna be rough if it's not there.
Let's find out what happens, right? This is what it's all about. So first it's throwing a fit. You know what? I'm gonna have it emit to the pipeline because we're testing here. So call it again. Oh, it counts, I guess, as 0. Yep. So, how do we want to account for that? That's okay. So we'll do if $PS bound.
I mean, you can almost one line this. In your if statement, you just do your math backwards. You do expiration date minus get date and see if it's greater than days.
So.
And then that way you don't have to worry about defining the variable here and checking things.
It's not efficient, but you only have 100 certificates of care.
Right.
So what's the statement that you're suggesting that we would do?
Inside the date.
Right down here. I just wanted to type it out up here first, so we could see it before we ran it in the if statement.
Certificate expiration date,
and
you have to subtract whatever the hell the date after subtract.
So
if
yeah, I'll after that, not
expiration date,
not after. I don't know.
If expiration date. Oh, this looks so janky.
This is
It's
called-
not less janky than what I was doing. Let's
This
be
is
real
called
clear,
code.
right?
This is
Problem solving.
long-minded.
So if this is
Less
less than zero,
get date.
less than get date, I got you.
Less than right now.
Right. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
If it expires
Yeah.
tomorrow and you have 30 days, it's going to be basically 29 days have passed.
So let's do.
But now you're not checking for discount vendors in the first place.
This is fine. So if less than get, let's. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Breaking stuff. That's what's happening. Oh, because I didn't close out of the definition statement. So let's try that again. So
Because you didn't check for the valve parameters.
right. So we'd have to do both.
Minus zero, not minus. That's zero.
Right, but so it somehow got that minus 0 days from expiration date is less than today.
Because that expiration date is
Seven.
yeah, it is in the past.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's seven
In the
minutes from a
future?
year from now.
I'm so lost now as to what's happening.
It's basically saying that 7/20/2018 minus 0 days
Is
somehow less than
Yes.
right now.
yes. This is a time traveling script.
That's amazing.
Should we not clarify?
This scripting exercise went so fast. It went back in time.
We're missing another.
I know.
Sorry.
You're fine. Is it at the end again? Nope, it's at the beginning.
Maybe not to say it.
No, I did.
I thought you probably did, but I was hoping.
You were right.
The first time?
Yeah, here's the actual one. that we found out.
We'll get there eventually, folks.
Perfect.
All right. Doesn't matter. It worked somehow.
How is that math?
So, but it also doesn't contain keys days because I didn't specify any. I don't know how that. Is it drunk? This doesn't work. I'm canceling you. Go away. Let's try again. Oh. All right. So we have now learned that we're very, very confused as to how.
So here's the thing. The filter script
Yep.
isn't true. It's returning a true or a false value. It's not returning the object.
Yeah.
Right? You return note on the false branch, and note is true. So
So we don't even need to do this. We just need to do.
you just need that expression.
We were getting all kinds of. I really goofed on this one.
I'm glad I never mess up on my script completely. This wasn't
I think you need that.
No, just on this side.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's try again now that we figured it out, and then I'll explain. Yeah. Sweet. Sweet. And so now if I add days.
minus 400
Ooh.
or something. So what was that date?
Ah, there it is.
Hmm.
I mean, you can add a minus if you
Okay.
want.
Yeah.
Perfect. The 365 should, or maybe there's this close since we're not past that time.
Hey, look at that.
Perfect.
Excellent.
I believe that it works.
Okay, so let's go back and talk about what we did here for the people watching that didn't maybe hear all of our banter. Okay, so we're now adding a check here that says, hey, if and only if somebody specifies the key days up top, if they specify this when they call the script, continue. But the other check that we need to make sure is that we only return anything whose expiration date is less than those number of days out. That actually is not what this does at all, is it? So we do 365. it will have expired in that many days. Okay. Yep. No, this is correct. Okay. So so the date. So when I do, we're going to add it to the examples up top because it's easier to explain it that way. So I do example, right, and then I do get certificate expiration .ps1 days 30. This example will retrieve all certs in the local machines personal certificate store. Actually, gonna wrap it a little bit earlier, for the sake of people who can read, not me. Certificate store, which will have expired by 30 days from now. Is that more clear than me rambling? Okay. So, as an example, in our case, we run it 30 days, there's nothing that expires. We run it for 300 days, there's nothing that expires. We run it for 366 days. Hey, look, this cert will have expired then. But we don't know how many days we have until it expires. So is that some information we would like to keep?
I would also add an example that doesn't have the parameters.
Yep, let's do that too.
Returns all of the
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do,
Wait, it doesn't have a level.
if it does,
That's no parameter to get down trend. You check say if you pass it. If you don't pass it,
But if you don't pass it, you don't return false.
oh, that's true. There's obviously so,
it should be or. No, not contains key.
not contains or, and then you have to change it to greater than.
Contains key.
Sorry, put a
Not in front of it, yeah. Bang in front, yep. We're not.
and less than that.
Let's try it
And
again.
it should be an or.
Wait, hold on, what?
Correct.
What's that should have changed?
He's right.
You're not changing the math.
Yeah, the math didn't go away.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go. Turns out.
Correct. Right. So if it doesn't contain days, or if it does contain days, if those days are further out than right. If it, I cannot explain this in plain English. This script will return if you if you specify no parameters, the script will return everything in the local store. If you specify days, it will return all certificates which will have expired before that date is met. Before that many days from today has passed. So the other thing that we want to add here is we also want to add how many days till they expire. Should we just grab that instead of the expiration date though? Because that might have been easier. Okay, so let's do.
What's that? So then you can include the math. Include that.
I'm afraid to touch that.
Like I'm saying, you said earlier.
Name
iterate on it, right?
equals
Now we're iterating.
days to expiration. All right, so now we're going to have name is days to expiration and the expression. Okay, so we've got the expiration date. I'm just going to equals $underbar. Say again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just trying to.
So my script process, figure things out, then clean it up, right? So here I'm reminding myself like it's because, or not after, right? So that's actually the expiration date. And then we've got the days at the top, and days to expiration is what? Expiration date minus get date, right?
And do a couple days on that.
Dot. Whoa. Well, so real quick, let's talk about that real quick because I don't know that everybody knows that exists. Let's do get member on get date. There's a crap load of properties, right? One of those somewhere should have been total date, total days.
I guess that's not on a date, it's on a time interval. You can track date, it's total date.
Okay, so let's do this. We'll put it up there. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, you're fine. It's a not after minus total date, minus get date, and then we'll investigate that. So now we'll run it without the days parameter at all. We get it back. Days to expiration is some sort of wonky thing. Let's select object, expand on days.
That's an interval.
Days to expiration. Right. So we've got it here. So it'll show us now the time interval: days, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, ticks, total days. This is the one we want.
Probably days is fine.
Oh, right, because we don't care about the fractions. Yep. So we actually want to do dot days.
It doesn't wrap up into the next. It doesn't have like years.
Right, right.
I'm used to using total because we do seconds instead of seconds.
Yep. Actually, before we do that, let's test if we go for something because that's only stuff that's only a year. Well, I guess you're not going to run into anything in a year out. We can add this as a note kind of thing, right? If any of your certs don't expire for 2 or 3 years, I don't know if days will break.
Sure. Well, they're not a total year.
No, you're right. Let me try. I'm gonna do something stupid real quick. Get date. Add days. Plots. Minus get date. Yep. So that, okay, good. All right, so we can use days. We just wanted to make sure of that before we did it here, because that's one of those nasty surprises you don't want to pop on somebody, right? So now, when we run our thing, get days to expiration, and if we check, I think that should be an int, right? I found that out like just recently when I saw somebody else doing it. I don't know if it's doing Voodoo under the hood or that's just like a traditional thing we've had forever. Neat. Any questions from anybody here or on the YouTubes so far? Okay. All right, so now we have a tool which will return, we do get certificate, source, get certificate. We don't specify anything. It'll tell us how many days, the expiration date, days to expiration. And if we specify days, and let's say 365, it'll bring back which ones are back, which ones failed that. If I specify 360, it won't bring that one back. So now we have a way to query the local cert store, retrieve the certs by subject name with their expiration date and days to expiration. Is this pretty useful, or do we want to also bring back thumbprints or any of the other properties? Do we care about any of those other properties? You might have multiples with the same subject.
I think a thumbprint would be useful because I'm sure it's right there.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no reason not to.
Yep.
You don't have to do any work with it.
Yep.
Why not
So,
just return the certificate object but add a couple more properties?
we could do that. Do you want to do add member? Is that member, right?
Star.
Can you do star?
You can.
Oh.
I always make custom objects.
No.
This shit's ridiculous.
What?
Yeah.
You just blew my mind. Let's find out. What does that do? Oh my goodness, it's so much stuff.
What?
So many things. I don't want to see all of it though.
Does that come across as a custom object?
Can I do custom formatting within a script though, or do I need a module?
Certificate number. It's a selected certificate, just like it was before. Anytime you do select object, you can use property to change the list you just selected, whatever it was.
Okay, that's interesting.
How can we hide these without using a module? Can we?
That's a great question. So the easy answer, the quick answer is you have to modify the type names collection from the PS base object. No, on the PS object, underlying it. And then you have to use add update format data.
This sounds like it's getting way out of the scope of what we were trying to accomplish here.
No,
Okay.
but you basically would say this is a STL PSUB cert
Right.
thing. You just insert that into the list of type names, right? With the, out of the box, it's the inheritance hierarchy of it's inherited in the object. You just add that there, and then you tell PowerShell, this is how you format that with update format data.
And then change the display values.
Yeah.
Default display values.
And you do that just by.
There's some cool reasons to do that too.
Yeah.
So
This is the perfect
thumbprint.
reason, right? Just to show the few things you want.
Oh, we probably also want issuer, right? Maybe?
Yeah.
I would think. So thumbprint subject issuer, and then our custom information. So let's try it again now. That looks pretty neat. That's the sort of thing that would probably, do we even need expiration date if we have days to expiration? Probably, I would think. If you're gonna put it in like a CSV or whatever, the days to expiration depends on when I run it. Expiration date is static. So you probably do want both. Okay. Are we pretty satisfied with the tool we set out to build here? From a code perspective, I think we should be. I should be proud of this. Clean up some of my terrible formatting. Okay. So let's go back and add a couple of comments. If that a pretty good comment, we think. If no days are specified, or if the cert expires before that many days pass, return the object. Does that make this more understandable for us? Okay. And then here, on the comment, all right, up to this one. There's nothing really to add here, so that we can skip the comment. We're just renaming not after to expiration date. I think that's fairly self-evident from the code.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you have the classic?
Yeah, just a little bit, Drew. Jeez.
Sorry.
Ugh. Okay, so we'll come back and do this one. This example will retrieve all certs in the local machines personal certificate store and include in addition to subject. No, we don't. Well, I mean, I'm just wrapping it to the viewport of the group here, so it's readable for us. All right, so we feel like we've got version 0.1.0 out and good to go. Inputs. Well, there's the days, right? That doesn't count. Inputs and for pipeline only? All right, good. Outputs. Correct. So how do we define outputs? This is something that I have not actually been a good boy about doing in the past. It's defining inputs and outputs. Do you ever put anything here, or do you just leave it? PS custom object?
Yeah, it's a custom object. I mean, this is just text. This isn't.
Yeah. You know what? We're gonna leave both of these out for now. I'm lazy and I want to put out something minimal and useful here. So I think we've got enough here. Good to go. There's one last thing that we need to do here, which is some minor testing. Has anybody ever written tests around scripts? Right, versus functions where you can get into them. So I mean, you can still mock stuff. Does anybody here have familiarity with doing this? Or is this new to everybody else?
I've never
Okay.
done a test.
All right, neither have I.
I don't think it would be much different.
We're gonna find out.
That's what production's for, right?
Everyone has a dev test.
Describe stuff. It things true should be false. Invoke that's I get worse. Invoke pestar. Describing stuff, thing. Oh no. B is not a valid should operator. In what world is it not a valid should operator? Timo pester.
You just drop the dash.
I'm thinking, yeah, well, so I'm used to doing pester 4. I downgraded to pester 3.4 a while ago because I ran into some issues. Let's do invoke pester. That's better. Expected false, but was true. All right, so we're gonna write one test of some sort here. What are we gonna write? Where do we want to test? Want to test on mocking get child item, I guess? That's what we're gonna mock? Yep. Ooh. All right. Let's see if we can do something here. I don't even know if you can mock get. Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to effectively mock a get child item for retrieving the cert.
You don't have to retrieve. You just have to retrieve something that has enough properties to look like a cert.
Right.
Stuff typing.
So are you good at this? Because I am not. I have had many problems getting specific objects to show up without catching fire.
Good at it, probably is the wrong word. But
Can you help us to scramble this together? All right, let's do this. So I'm going to do good. A cert mock. No, what's the mock? Mock it is.
come on. Child item.
And then child item mock with.
Let's just return single objects. So just back to custom object.
Okay.
And available. Let's put property. So we need a not after.
Yep.
We need a subject.
We need subject, issuer.
It would be false.
Thumbprint. I told you guys it's going to be a fun one. So we got subject, issuer, thumbprint, not after. Nope. Nope.
This is the actual. We're pretending to be the certificate store. If you touch it off, right. The idea here is that we're writing a test, but there's external dependencies on the function. So rather than just be subject to the whims of the certificate store on the machine you're testing it on, we're going to pretend to be the certificate store.
Right.
So
and
say if someone does a DIR in this script, we're just going to return some mock certificate, something that looks like.
Right. And the reason that we do this is that you can't guarantee that those are there. And this way you don't have to modify your system to test, which is something you don't want to do. Because the other option that we would have is, well, let me just install a bunch of self-signed certs to the local store and then hopefully remember to clean that shit out when I'm done. I have, before I got further along this road, I did routinely break my local workstation, like along my testing paths, like trying to figure stuff out and stuff. And then I think it was Joel Bennett was like, why aren't you mocking that? And I was like, mocking, I don't think making fun of it's going to help. That doesn't, like, I feel like I'm being mocked. And then I was like, let me go Google that. And then I was like, oh, yep.
There are so many things in software engineering that are like that.
Absolutely.
That are great solutions if you know that they're there. And if you don't know that they're there, you do all these crazy things to try to figure out.
Get item, cert, local, my. Want to get chopped? Nope. Whoa. Okay. So we need friendly name and I guess extensions. We don't need any of that?
We use a friendly name?
We don't even use the not before.
Oh, well then we don't need it. All we have to do is include all of the properties that we're referring to.
Okay.
And that's all we need.
Well, let's double check then. So we've got thumbprint, subject, issuer, not after. I think that's all we're using. All right. Let's go. So we've got the mock now. So let's have the mock return issuer, biscuit, subject, biscuit, thumbprint, biscuit, not after. This will have to be a date time. So we'll do get date dot add days. And we'll do 28.
Let me put a constant here. That way you haven't introduced another dependency. Or are you just looking at that?
Well, I guess I could do a date time, but
When you say introduce another dependency, are you just talking about the fact that the clock is always moving? Because then you can do get date and then you specify a date together.
Right. But you're still relying on that's fine. That's what you're doing. You're looking for one that's specifically going to expire.
yeah,
But that's fine.
the way that I had it or this way.
The way you have it.
Once we mock get, well, there's no real reason to mock get date, right?
If it fails because of that.
No, because we're
Right.
doing that. We don't have
Right,
to.
right. Because well, okay, so something else to keep in mind is when you're mocking stuff, you're mocking things where the input output matters. For us, get date is always going to be that moving target. We can't, like, if we're mocking get date, I don't really know what the value of that part would be here, right? Versus there's a clear value in mocking the certificate store. So the other option that we could have is that you can do parameter filters. Oh, where did that go? My drone. You are correct, sir. Thank you. There you go. Parameter filter. So now we could filter that get child item call if we
Then task starts with
Right.
or something like that.
right.
We don't really care about
Right.
in the context of our control. In that.
So we'll mock it here, and then let's do.
So my thought about the mock and get date is that we either have to change the cert that we're returning, or we have to change the date in the advance. My thing is it's easier probably to change the date, but it's one or the other.
I was just thinking that we could make this part a variable. Change this part out. So, because we'd have to remock it in each context. So like, okay, let me explain, because I am not being clear at all. Context, assert, here. Right, and then you can do two different tests, or you don't even need really to do two different tests. You could just do, context the cert expires in a month, or in 28 days or whatever, and then test that your days is before and after and whether or not it returns it. Does that make sense to everybody? So we'll do the cert expires in 28 days.
You really have to worry about what the not after value is, because you're going to retest it multiple times with the same script. At that point, you just change your data.
Right.
You without days, you go with days 30
That's,
and then days 20.
Right, that's what I'm doing here.
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Probably not long.
So
What am I right? There's a difference.
never, ever.
Okay.
Your name is
We're
Drew.
willing to admit that in this way.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Okay. So our system under test is this thing, right? And then we're going to do it with it returns the cert if days is not specified. It is the cert if 30 days is specified. Returns nothing. 15 days is specified.
How do you feel about that?
I really want to do it, but I'm really shitty at remembering to write my tests first and not get frustrated enough to go off and do exploratory coding.
I was just thinking that if we had done this first,
It's almost like
fiddling with the logic
yes,
would have felt better.
That's perfectly true, right? So one of the guys in the room just pointed out that if we had done this from test-driven development, what we actually would have done was figured out what we were trying to accomplish in the first place instead of fiddle-farting around for 30 minutes trying to figure it out, which is totally true, 100% accurate. So it is something that I advocate without actually following through on myself in a lot of cases. I have done some stuff where I've done test-driven first. I actually did one project here where I did behavior-driven, BDD using the Gherkin implementation in Pester. That went really well, but that took me a lot of time to kind of like get my head around. Although I think long-term it helps you to write fewer pointless tests, and it really helps to connect what you're doing back to people on your team who don't know how to write PowerShell, because they just look at plain English that explains what's happening. Right? For the most part, it's close enough to plain English that they can grok it. Whereas a lot of the time when you hand over this stuff, they go, right?
Yeah.
So here, returns the cert if days is not specified. So this should not be null or empty. Right? And then modify it a little bit. So days 30 should not be null or empty. And then this one should be null or empty. Okay, so what we're saying here is if we don't specify days and we run this based on the mock for get child item, we should get back the object, right? We shouldn't get back nothing. If we specify 30 days because it will expire in 28, right? We should get back that object still because it will have expired within 30 days. And it'll return nothing if the 15 days is specified because nothing will expire before that. So let's see what we actually get because I bet I screwed this up. Invoke pester. Describing stuff. Oh yeah, it's definitely on fire. The term that is not a, yep, so let's, oh, whoa. Hey, let go. To the and operator.
Another good question. How would you name when I'm executing external program? What's the point of the answer?
So the point, to me, here's the point. Okay. So it's command line, right? So if I just say, you know, ctemp executable, I didn't know what to do, right? There's a space in the path, I've got to put quotes around it. If I hit enter on that, that's a string, that's not executable. Ampersand says, here's something you need to execute.
So I just leave it by default anyway.
Yeah. Also, if you have like a command object, you like get command of outputs executable and it's the actual command. You can execute those the same way.
Oh, okay. So you could basically select based on the variable. You may not even know what the command is.
You have to look inside a proxy function. It's actually doing get command and using the ampersand operator to execute that and then splatting the parameters into that unknown.
I've never seen that. Do you know an example of that? No, it's fine. I'm just curious.
You have to generate a proxy function.
Yeah, that's too far in depth for me. So, okay, that's cool.
I talked about it.
Oh, I remember.
A year and a half ago.
I do remember
On the PowerShell for Linux day.
that was a good one. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was a hard act to follow. You know, Michael Green saying, "Oh, here's PowerShell for Linux, and here's PowerShell on Linux." Yeah, I'm like, yeah, here's PowerShell. Like,
That was a bit. Yeah, that was a big announcement day. It was like,
It was huge.
literally the same day. I want to present. I'm like, I'll tell you what it is.
Yes, that was hilarious.
We'll eventually get here, guys. I'm doing, so I was letting everybody else kind of have a discussion while I screwed things up, but I finally fixed it.
What did you do?
All right, so up at the top, I grabbed the system under test. So split path from the test folder over here. So the PS script root was here. The overall root is the split path parent from that. And then I go into source, and then into get certificate expiration date. Resolve path gives you the full path for the system under test.
How did you use those slash?
I'm so used to doing forward slashes because I work on both Linux and Windows, and it works fine. So then I do the call for system under test, specify the days and whether or not it should be those things. So now I'm going to change this last one just to verify that it's not always passing for no good reason. Hey. All right, so now we have a thing that has tests, it has source. Now what do we do? Ew. Who documents their?
Oh, I know that's one of your hot buttons. So
you are correct. So let me. We'll go ahead and let's do. I'll see. I don't even know if I have my own code installed. I do. That is magical. What version are we at? 8.0. Look at that. Here. So now I will. This is a. Since you brought it up, I wasn't going to. I was just going to leave it alone. Destination path. So Plaster is a scaffolding project for PowerShell. Lets you do some neat stuff that you're about to see. In this case, I'm going to scaffold out the documentation, a build script, and some other stuff that'll kind of make this project feel a little bit more full. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Name of the project is Get Certificate Expiration. Quick description. Retrieve certificates. So retrieve certificates from the local machine cert store and specify their expiration information. Optionally, only retrieve certificates which will expire within the next N days. Primary author for the project, I feel like it's actually Michael P. Lombardi. I'll take credit because I'm so used to doing that. Name of the person or company that has the rights to this project is STLPsug. Does documentation need to support audio video files? Damn right it does. So it's going to go out scaffold, docs, media, readme, changelog, whole bunch of crap. Okay, so now we have docs. That's great. We'll talk about all that later, maybe.
That's a huge scaffold.
It's not as big as you think it is. So real briefly, we'll come into the Saki file here. So there's a whole bunch of nice stuff. So this is something that I use actually. It came out of work initially, but then we open sourced it. So this will allow you to use Gitbook to build, compile, and publish your documentation. It's got all the information around doing that. We're not going to dig into it right now. We're going to ignore it entirely. But Mike brought it up, so we added docs. We have a changelog, though. So we will do this part because this part does matter to me. 0.1.0 added documentation scaffolding. I don't know why my default is not a plus sign. That angers me. So we had a documentation scaffolding, initial code, initial tests. That is it. All right, so now we have this information. We'll come back up to source here. This fella got all this information. We're good to go. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and publish it. After git status, git add all the things that will git, not gid, git add, clear, git status. Oh man, that's a whole lot of stuff. What's neat when you're using Visual Code is that you can see everything that you've done. So all these files that we just added via the scaffold, and then here's the two that we changed. And it'll show us the changes. They were empty, right? The one empty line has been replaced with all of these things. And the same thing here in the tests file. I can click properly. All right, so we're good to go. I'm going to do git commit m add initial code tests and doc. Scripted out the problem set, added basic tests, used documentarian, cluster, docs, which real
You rewrote it to not include a single quote. I do that all the time.
I have done that so many times here. So add initial code, tests, and docs, scripted out the problem set, added basic tests, use documentarian plaster scaffold to add support for docs, which we will definitely write later. So we're going to go ahead and commit that change. My password is 12345. Also on my luggage. See, I beat you to it. You're fine.
I'm gonna say the whole line.
Would you like to say the line for us, Drew?
No.
Oh, fine.
Ruin it, Michael.
Git push u origin initial work. So here I'm pushing my work up to the remote server and telling it to track any further changes we do. I'm going to pretend like somebody cares enough to come along and do code review for me. It's not true. No one cares.
Thank you.
You care? So, aw, man, somebody comes along and like, I'm going to create a merge request. I think this is important. And I'm just going to be like, I assign this to me. And we're going to remove the source branch, the squash commits, and the merge request is accepted. Submit that merge. Ba-ba-da-da. Now we can come back after we get through all this and add CI, and we can look at all that, but I want to make sure we get this publishing piece done. We're running a little bit low on time. Has there been any follow-up in the YouTubes or anything like that? I'm going to check Twitter because nobody loves me. Up, up, up. Up, up, up. Notifications. Can't make it to the go. Tab to attend to. Okay. All right. Well, so taking a look, you'll see there's one package in each of the. So real quick, so ProGet, for those of you not familiar, is an artifact repository. So we have, unlike the public PowerShell gallery, where you have the scripts and the modules under one feed, I don't know how they're doing it on the back end necessarily, but for ProGet, you're actually looking at two different endpoints. If you look at your PowerShell gallery, there are two different endpoints for scripts and for modules, but it's pretty transparent. It's pre-installed for you. So here, this is the only module we have installed, and this was the agenda thing I showed off at the very beginning. That's also installed. So now we're good to go here. Everything's up. We've pushed it over. I'm going to check out master, git pull down all those changes, watch everything scaffold itself out. Clear. Clear. All right, now it's time to publish stuff. So let's do it. This is real important, so I'm going to make things even bigger, and that is too big. I changed my mind. All right, everybody able to read this? Let's do publish script path source get certificate expiration. We need the repository first, which should be STLPsug, and then the NuGet API key. I think I set it to secret because I have a secret. No, publish script isn't recognized. How are you not recognized? What does that even mean? What? How are you not find? How drunk are you right now? What are you?
What about your explanation?
It is. What is?
Oh.
What?
So F completely knows about it.
What?
But
it's not in the path, apparently. Somehow.
What? What? So, hold on. Do you get command publish script? Okay. Oh, that was a terrible mistake. Source. I want source. Select source. PowerShell get. So. God. Hold on, I'm being incompetent.
That was the dystopian term.
What? What is happening here? Nothing makes sense anymore.
Well, input that module maybe.
Well, hold one.
I mean, you shouldn't have to, but.
Maybe it got really angry. I don't know. All right, let's try this again. Secret. I've got a secret. Yes. What am I agreeing to? NuGet.exe. Yes, by all means. Download things off the internet for me. That'll go well. I had soda in my mouth. Also, you don't want me to sing. No, failed to publish. Yeah, I don't have the right password, so we're going to change the password live. Because, you know.
Everyone changes turn your head.
No, this is fine. I don't care if people know. You won't be able to see, so we'll go to STLPsug. We will change it to secret, exclamation point, so I don't have to change anything because I'm lazy. Secret, I've got a secret. What do you mean forbidden? Fine. I'm not gonna do it that way. That'd be bad. I'm gonna. It was. So like, I don't know why you're being dumb here. It is. Nope, he was talking about for. Yeah. Insert select. Why is this? Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Nailed it. Okay, so now when I do find script repository STLPsug, I will find get certificate expiration is there now. So now let's do name get certificate expiration. I should fill it out. Right, get cert, whatever, close enough. Now let's install it. Script, scope, current user. Downloading things from the internet safe. Yeah, look, there it is.
You just mind explaining
Sure.
where it just installed. I get a little confused.
Yeah,
I know, like,
yeah.
system-wide goes to some Windows. Current user is supposed to go.
So let's do here. We'll do. We've got that one, right? So I could do get command on it, and it'll show me it's in the source, and I'll do select object span property source. So because I scoped it out to current users, it installed it to my documents, Windows PowerShell scripts. So the same place that your PowerShell profile is stored, it'll create a folder called scripts and do it there. Now, what I can also do, if I flip back over to here, if I do find script repository, and we'll do STLPsug name get get cert. So we'll find it first. Wop, 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 wop. Maybe. And then we'll do install script force. We install it from the global now. Right? So now when I do get command, get certificate x 1p. Total count? We should have 2, right? No? What? Nope, not bash history. What is happening here? Fully qualified command type, total count, syntax. I thought so, but it told me I had to specify them. I want the total count. I want all. That's what I want. Select, expand, source. So now you'll see it installed at the C program files, Windows PowerShell, scripts, get certificate expiration.
What would it all do though?
All will show you all the ones installed, but it's like I thought it would show me also the one on my personal profile. I don't know if it's not because I'm running it as admin though.
And also,
because when you
may not have that path in there yet.
Right, that's a good point too. When this one launched,
when you did the install on
let's verify, right? We can do that. Okay, so what for those of you who are following along on the internets and not here, what we were talking about was why this didn't bring back both paths. Expectation is that the path didn't exist yet for our personal one, so it didn't see it. So now when we run it, it still doesn't show it. I have no idea. But when we run it from here, if I run all,
that's
who am I? Who am I? Okay. Okay. Okay.
So just out of curiosity,
Just-
I don't need to do anything
Okay.
or anything. So I see that it does support, or at least it says versioning. Does it do that for scripts as well? Can you specify version?
Let's change something.
Well, unless we're planning on doing that, I'm just curious. Can you install those side by side like you can install modules side by side?
I don't know how it would do it.
Let's, well, here.
I know like if there's modules that you can make a folder with the version on, right? It
Right.
sucks, but you do it.
Right. But I don't know where you put the different.
Not changing anything, but we're going to publish internally anyway, because why not? That's super safe. Okay, so we've changed everything. We're just going to go back up and publish one more again. Excuse me. I really should have done that verbose. All right, so now when we come back up here, we go to feeds, whop, 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 whop. We look at the STL pslug scripts. We have 3 of them, 3 objects that are there, and we look at all versions. We see we have versions 0.1.0, 0.2.0. Everything's good to go. This, by the way, is publicly available if you guys want to check it out on your laptops or whatever. Packages.barbariankb.com. The login for STL pslug is secret.
Okay.
Correct. Because you should keep your secrets safe. Right? Somebody love me. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead. We will do find. We'll do it from the PowerShell one over here. Do the exact same thing we were doing before. We'll do install script force. So here we'll notice it doesn't show the version. Doesn't show version for some reason. Maybe that's only for finding it and installing it.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Scripts metadata
Yeah, because it's
isn't really.
I'm just curious, because I'm used to working with the Hyper-V modules, especially between 2012 and then R2 in 2016. Got the different versions to deal with, which sucks. And it would make sense to have perhaps different versions of the same script, even though the theory script.
Module, there's a command you're using to get the module where you can specify the version of the script.
I know, right?
You have to use git command to do that, and then it would be weird. I'm not saying that's an answer. That's
No,
just-
I
trying to
agree.
think
It doesn't
through.
make a lot of sense, especially for workaround that design, but it's just something to ask. So.
Yep, so the takeaway here is that you need to be careful if you're doing these scripts. While you can always roll back and install the previous version, right? And I'll show you that real quick. Right, so we can, so if I do find the script, get certificate, expiration, and we want required version 0.1.0. Our last one, I can get that. So let's first get the source, and let's cat the first 20 lines or so. Hit content, select object, first 10. Is that enough to get the version? Okay, so yeah. So we'll see that it's at version 2.0. So now we'll install script force. We'll do verbose this time so you guys can actually see what it does. I keep forgetting to do this every time we install. Okay. And then we'll cat it again. Now it's at 1.0. So you can revert very easily back and forth, and that'll help you. And it's probably more reasonable than deploying clones of your repository out to everything, right? Because that'll also mean that your servers have to have Git and that sort of thing. Where this trust will come into place primarily is that you're doing a good job of testing and verification in your pipeline before you deploy stuff out to all your prod servers, right? It's just something to be mindful of. So scripts, unlike modules, don't install side by side, but you can revert using the same repository. Modules, on the other hand, you can install version 0.1.0, 0.2.0, 1.3. All of those can install side by side, and you can summon any of them into memory and use those. Does that make sense? Okay. Do we feel like we got any further questions or whatever around how we did this and what this process looks like? Feel like we learned a little bit today, maybe? Maybe this was pointless. I don't know. All right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out from the YouTubes, and we'll finish up everything else here. So thank you for attending. Thank you for dealing with the terror screen that is shown right now while I try to stop. Have a great night. Be safe.